Hello Sharks, I am Jonathan Little for PokerCoaching.com, here today reviewing a very interesting hand from the $10,000 buy-in GG Super Millions that takes place every Sunday on GG Poker. And the final table is actually streamed live with cards face up so that you can watch all the high stakes action on Tuesdays. You can make sure to check that out at ggpoker.tv. So today, it's a pretty interesting spot featuring two world-class players. And because GG has a relatively flat payout structure, as you can see here, once you start to make it very deep in this tournament, you are highly incentivized to not go broke, which leads to relatively cautious play on a lot of sites, other sites, on a lot of, in live poker tournaments, quite often ninth place is something like 1/10 of first place. But notice on this particular tournament, it's about 1/7, something like that, right? And that's going to result in the players having to be a little bit more cautious, especially when they are medium or deep stacks, and they could outlast a shallow stack. It's going to become very important. Notice here, if you know any of these players, they are all very, very strong, some of the absolute best in the game. Today we're going to be taking a look at a hand featuring Daniel Dvoress. He may not be a household name to recreational poker players, but if you have been around poker at all, you know that he is one of the absolute best poker players in the game. He's very studied, he knows exactly what's going on, and he is a crusher. As you see here, $16 million in live tournament earnings, including a first place in the Super High Roller Bowl and a bunch of other big cashes. Also, $7.7 million in cashes only on GG, including a World Series of Poker bracelet, second in a 25K. Absolute crusher. I like Daniel a lot. I've only interacted with him a few times at the poker table, but he's been very nice. His opponent, Guillaume Nollet. I don't think I've ever played with him before, but as you can see here, he is a regular in these high-stakes games on GG. He's played the $10,000 buy-in tournament 41 times, so he's in there battling. He has about $3.6 million in earnings on GG, $1.5 million live, including a first into $25,000 tournament. So Guillaume is getting in there, he's battling, and today we're going to take a look at a very interesting hand. Before we get started, always make sure you are aware of the stack distributions at the final table. So let's just take a look at what we're playing here. We're playing 60,000, 120,000. Fabrice is sitting here with a whopping 5 big blinds. Very, very shallow stacked. That's going to force the other shallow and medium stacks to be pretty tight. As we see here, McDavid and Dai Ming are both playing about 12 big blinds deep. So pretty shallow, but obviously much deeper. A lot deeper, twice as many chips than Fabrice. So that's really going to force McDavid and Dai Ming to be very tight until Fabrice either doubles or goes broke. Then we have Preben Stokkan. He actually beat me one time, heads up in a $10,000 buy-in tournament in the Dominican Republic. That was a fun one. I actually reviewed some of those hands. Maybe we can find the link. We'll try to put the link below in the YouTube comments. Make sure you check that out. Or in the, whatever that thing's called down there. I don't know. I'm not a YouTube pro. I'm doing my best. Do you all know we have almost 100,000 subscribers here? I appreciate all of you. Thank you very much for being here. If you like my work, click like, click subscribe below, click the notification bell. We may be doing something fun when we get to 100,000 subscribers, so make sure you're here for that. Anyway, Preben beat me one time, but I like him very much as well. I mean, look, most of these people are nice. Most poker players at the high levels are just like good, reasonable humans who work hard, get good at a game, and then crush their opponents. All right, then Preben has a medium stack, 20-something big blinds. He's going to be forced to hang out as well. And then we have the two big stacks, Guillaume and Daniel, both playing about 50-ish big blinds deep. And normally at the final table, the two big stacks don't want to get involved, but when there are very, very flat payout jumps, as there are in this particular tournament, these players really don't want to get involved with each other. So let's take a look at this hand. I think Dai Ming, under the gun, with pocket fours, should just fold. You may say, why? Why not just go all in? Because, again, one short stack here in Fabrice, McDavid also is short. Very often what's going to end up happening here is Dai Ming's going to fold. One of the big stacks would raise. A shallow stack's going to go all in some portion of the time. And then sometimes they're going to get called and be out, right? Also, every once in a while, it just happens to fold around to the small blind. Obviously, Daniel's going to raise a ton when it folds to him. But if he does, if it does fold around to McDavid, sometimes McDavid's going to shove, Preben's going to call, and then Dai Ming gets a payout jump. So this is a spot where Dai Ming should be pretty tight, And I would have just folded the pocket fours here. I don't really love min raising because when you min raise, you open the door for one of the big stacks to 3-bet or call. Also, sometimes one of these other stacks is going to jam on you, and you have to fold unless it's Fabrice. So I think I would have just folded here. But he raises it up. Over to Guillaume. He can 3-bet or call. I think either play is viable depending on how everyone has been playing. If they've been being very aggressive over raises, I love flatting and giving them a chance to put in a re-raise. If they've been normal, I would probably just 3-bet small. Now over to Daniel. Remember, we have the 2 big stacks here. Daniel does not know Guillaume has pocket aces, okay? Look, you have to observe poker recognizing you do not know what your opponents have. It's very important. Don't just say, he has aces, you should fold. That's not how it works. I want you to take a second and think about this. With the ace-king in this scenario, facing an under-the-gun raise, 6-handed, but, a low jack raise that should be quite tight, and then a 3-bet from the big stack who is, maybe playing loosely, aggressively, etc., on GG, they have this little heads-up display. It shows you how many or what percentage of hands the person is playing. 36 is a lot. That said, big stack should be playing a lot of hands at the final table, so that doesn't necessarily mean a ton. What would you do with your ace-king in Daniel's shoes? Take a second, think about it, and I want you to write what you would do in the comments section below. In this spot, would you just fold? Would you call? Would you 4-bet small to, let's say, 1.3 million? Or would you rip it all in? Pause the video and write what you would do below. All right, did you do it? I hope you did. Going through this active learning process is going to go a long way to helping you improve your poker skills, which is what we're going for here in this channel. I'm sure some people are in the comment section already saying 6 minutes in, just get it all in. I want to see who wins. Believe it or not, I don't actually care who wins. I want to learn about how to make the best decisions possible so that I can win. So anyway, this is a spot where I think Daniel really only has one good option, and it's not to fold. Ace-king is too good to fold in this scenario. And he also should not go all in, because if he goes all in with a hand that you would normally at least consider shoving with, ace-king loves to just rip it all in because it often gets under pairs to fold, which have 50% equity. Sometimes you get ace-queen to find a hero call. You don't want to shove in this scenario because, again, of all of the shallow stacks. So the only options here in my mind are either to call or 4-bet small. The big problem with calling in this scenario is that if you call, Daiming's going to go all in sometimes. Probably quite often, because remember, he's opening under the gun, he should have a strong range. Then Guillaume's going to shove it all in a lot, a decent portion of the time, or re-raise small, one of the two. And then that's kind of going to force you to fold, because again, you really don't want to get it all in. So I don't like calling. So I think the only good option here is to put in the small 4-bet. If you do put in the small 4-bet and it goes like all in, you can fold. If Daiming puts it all in, that's fine. It does get very nasty if Guillaume decides to call, 5-bet, jam, whatever. But I don't really see any other good option. I think it would be just a little bit too tight to fold in this scenario. Especially if Guillaume's like kind of getting after it. It is very much worth noting, though. I want to make it really clear. If Guillaume knows Daiming has a good hand, as he should, and he's still 3-betting him, Guillaume should probably have a really good hand here. So if that is actually the case, then I guess folding is a consideration because Guillaume's going to rip it all in sometimes on you, and then you probably have to fold. You cannot just 4-bet this and call it off willy-nilly for all the money when there are all these short stacks. But it's a weird scenario because, in theory, Guillaume should be kind of incentivized to be very aggressive, because notice if he does go all in or re-raise over a small 4-bet, and he happens to get called, and he loses, he still has 600,000 chips, 700,000 chips, something like that. And that's going to allow him to, maybe get in a little payout jump. Not that he wants that to happen, but it is something that could happen. Anyway, pretty nasty spot, right? I don't actually even know what the right answer is. The right answer may just be to fold, as nitty as that sounds. That said, ace-king is a really good bluff, we'll call it, because it blocks aces and kings, which means you really shouldn't get shoved on all that often in this scenario. Let's see what Daniel Dvoress does. I'm going to presume whatever he does is right, because Daniel is one of the absolute best poker players in the world. Let's see what the right play is. In this scenario, I think I would have put in the small 4-bet, but I would not have loved it. It's a bad spot. Like, you just really don't want to get involved here all that often. He's giving it some thought. Always make sure you give it some thought. And he does go for the small 4-bet. He goes 1.245. Daiming has an easy fold. And now, what is Guillaume going to do? OMG. Look, he's praying to get the ladder, obviously. what should Guillaume do here? So here you have to ask, what is Daniel actually doing? Is he getting out of line? Is he messing around? Would he ever put in a bluff here? The thing is I think Daniel would put in some bluffs in this scenario. Daniel's quite aggressive. He will get after it every once in a while. That said, from a GTO point of view, I gotta think he should be super in line here. So if you think he's super in line, what is a super in line range? It's gonna be like aces, kings, queens, and ace king, right? If he's only re-raising the best hands, and you gotta presume those aren't gonna fold all that often. If Guillaume is at least a little bit incentivized to apply aggression, because like I said, he has Daniel covered. So if you think Daniel's range is super strong, I think the right play is to just re-raise. Question is, do we shove it all in, or do we re-raise small? And I think both options are very viable. In this spot, I don't know what I would have done. I'm going to presume whatever Guillaume did was right. I think I probably would have called, because I really, really, really want to keep Daniel in the pot. And you may say, but sometimes you're going to get outdrawn. Yeah, but you got to realize, if your opponent's range is actually pretty good, like ace, king, aces, kings, queens, maybe a few bluffs, all of the bluffs are drawing thin to dead. Kings and queens, you know to be a little bit cautious on a king or queen board, but yeah, you're probably going to give him the full double. So in this scenario, I think I would have called just to keep Daniel in with whatever bluffs he has. However, if you think he's just going to put his money in every time, or the vast majority of the time, then obviously you want to re-raise, because then you just stack him every time, right? So let's take a look at what Guillaume did. Giving it some thought. Make sure you don't run out of time bank at the final table, by the way. Obviously, use it as you should, but you got to be a little bit careful so you don't run out of time. Guillaume puts in the small 4-bet. The tiny 4-bet. What a weird spot, huh? So, look, this is going to be relatively low-level advice here, but when you're playing against somebody in a high-pressure, high-risk situation, as we are playing right here, and your opponent gives you amazing odds, as you see here, Daniel has to put in 1 million to try to win a 5 million pot. That means he needs to realize 20% equity. Your opponent says, all right, I'm going to give you amazing pot odds, and I'm going to give you position, and this is still not going to be profitable for you. What do you think they have? They're going to give you great position, great odds, and you can't win. Very often, unless your opponent is really tricky, which, maybe Guillaume is, I don't know. But if your opponent is anywhere near normal, they almost always have an incredibly premium range. And if you're against an incredibly premium range, what does that mean? That means Daniel's going to be against aces and kings. Even though you block them, I think that's what you're going to be against a lot of the time. So the question is, do we call and see the flop and try to get there, or do we make the really, 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 really tight fold? And look, if you put me in this scenario and you set up stacks exactly like this, and I thought Guillaume's range was normal-ish / loose-ish to begin with, I don't think I could get away from this hand. I mean, look, you all know me. I don't fold anyway, and I never fold. But if Guillaume's range is a little bit tighter, because diming should be tight, Daniel's range should in turn be tight. Therefore, for Guillaume to get it in here, or put in this play, he just has to be really strong. So what does Daniel do? I mean, I get what I've done. The problem is whenever you call, you just go broke a lot. Because like you miss, you lose a bunch of chips. You call, or if you call and you miss, you lose a lot of chips. If you jam and he calls, it's awful. Because he's only going to call it off with really good hands. I will say one thing here is that if you do shove and get the fold, you become the overwhelming chip leader, and that's going to let you run over the table, which is quite valuable. And if you fold, you give Guillaume the pretty solid chip lead, which is not so great. That said, you're in position against Guillaume on average, so it's not the end of the world. Stack distribution is very important. I talk about this in my book, Excelling at No Limit Hold'em. I have a big, big chapter there on final table play. Anyway, what's Daniel do? He elects to let it go. What? He finds the fold. Daniel Dvoress, absolute crusher, somehow dodges bullets. Daniel Dvoress, you see him here. He is the next Phil Hellmuth. He dodges bullets, baby. If you have not seen my interview with Phil Hellmuth on my YouTube channel, make sure you check it out. That was a really, really good one. Anyway, Daniel folded here. And I'm sure some people are going to think, if you fold this, how in the world could you possibly ever get a hold of chips and win a poker tournament? Well, he actually won the tournament. He got the full first place, and he's going to add another $400,000 to his GGPoker winnings. So huge congrats to him. Great poker player, and you know, in reality, probably a really good play. I'm not even being results oriented here. It's a spot where I think almost everyone loses a lot of their money, or they just like fold out all the time, and they're really easy to play against. But Daniel's a crusher. Congrats, good job, good work. That's gonna be it for today. If you enjoyed this video, do me a quick favor and click the like and subscribe button below. We're almost at 100,000 subscribers, and when we get there, we're gonna do a few fun things for the subscribers, so make sure you click subscribe. Good luck in your games. Have a great week. Thank you for being here. Thanks to GG for letting me use this hand. Make sure you check them out at ggpoker.tv. And that's it. I'll talk to you next time. How do you like free stuff? Yeah? Well, good, because I have a free membership to my site, pokercoaching.com, for you. Click. Get out of the way, hat. Click right up there to get it. And while you're at it, go ahead and click the subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video.